Lions and Lionesses. Today I'm going to share with you a study, a very important study, because it demonstrates something which is the cause, the great limiter of life, is someone's not achieving what they want to achieve, whether it's their body, in business, in relationships, whatever it may be. It always comes down to this. This is the foundation, and I talk about it a lot, but I want you to know where I've developed these beliefs. It's not because of some randomness, but it's because I dedicate my life every day, at least 8 hours a day, honestly, looking for the truth, testing things, speaking to people, reading research. And so when I find these things, I want to save you some time so that I can just give you what the big bang information you're like, whoa. So I find these things after looking through a lot of stuff that isn't useful, if I'm being honest. But this is mind over age, or mind over matter. And there is something called the Law of Mentalism. And really, when I share this with you, you're going to know exactly what it is, because anyone that's ever achieved anything knows that it comes from this. Everything first begins when you develop an idea, and which is a picture in your mind, or a description of what you want to create. You have a goal, for instance, but it always exists first mentally in the theater of your mind. And then you activate a part of your brain called the Reticular Activating System, where it starts noticing things associated with that picture in your mind. And then you can take action because you notice opportunities. And then you can say, well, what's the next step? But it's always going back to this picture in your mind, this idea, this goal, this vision that you cast, and then comparing it to your reality, your experience of life. I know that makes sense because you're smart people. So this is a study, and I really want to talk about how your thoughts create reality, and not just like in La La Land. Like, it's not just random effects. This is real. And so I'm going to go more and more of these, but today this is a study that was published in the medical journal Reproductive Endocrinology, and they had a group of women, 16 women, who had a condition known as functional hypothalamic amenorrhea. In English, that means they no longer experience their menstrual cycle due to hormonal imbalances. So we're measuring hormones here. So they're measuring hormones to see what happens. And they broke them into two groups. They had a control group, which received no treatment, no change. They just continued to do what they did. And the other group, they did something called cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. And really what this means is that they spoke to a therapist with the goal of reframing the meaning using logic to improve their condition. And in essence, what they're doing, they're going from a place of victimhood to a place of empowerment. That's really what the purpose of cognitive behavioral therapy from my perspective. And mind you, they didn't change anything else. No supplements or nutrients were added. They didn't change the diet. They didn't do any exercises, no medications, nothing else, except they just talked to somebody about their condition in an effort to change their attitude about it. And so they're shifting from victimhood to empowerment. Got it? So after 20 weeks of therapy, I'm just talking, there was no change in the control group. Obviously, they didn't change anything, so nothing's going to happen. Now, in the group that did the cognitive behavioral therapy, 6 of the 8 women resumed their menstrual cycle. One had no change, and another one had a partial improvement, which is incredible effect. So 6 out of 8 women who had hormonal problems to the point where they no longer experienced the menstrual cycle, which isn't healthy, regained their menstrual cycle. And so they became healthier, and they're measuring hormones, so their hormone levels improved. Now, what's interesting is they continued to measure these women after, because they wanted to know, did it only improve during the time they got therapy, or because they changed their beliefs about their condition, did it continue? Did they keep the results? What they found is they continued to keep the results, so they still have their menstrual cycles, so they're still healthier, and their hormonal levels, the individual hormonal levels, continued to improve even after they stopped doing the therapy. So how incredible is that? So one of the researchers said, so this is from one of the researchers, Dr. Brian Walsh, who was telling me about this. So by talking to someone, or to yourself too, and changing your attitude or changing your beliefs about your condition, you can possibly change your hormones. So this is a measurable thing we can look at. And so the researchers in the paper posed this question: why not do this first, cognitive behavioral therapy, something mental with no downside, rather than roll the dice with the quote pitfalls of medication. So I really want you to think about this, because I'm not saying you just sit there and think and everything changes. I'm saying you ignite the process of healing. You ignite the process of achievement by taking the time to first create it in the feed of your mind, cast the vision, understand the purpose of why this is important, and what's life going to be like on the other side. That is how you create things in life. And I know this because my entire life I have been surrounded by super successful people, and also people that were regular, that weren't so successful. Even like when I played Little League baseball and football, my coaches all were world champions at a professional level. My dad is a world champion fighter and a triathlete, and he was in special forces in Vietnam. So a lot of his friends were of that same caliber of athlete and achiever. And then when I played football in college, my coaches played for the Pittsburgh Steelers at one point, had Super Bowl rings, 4 Super Bowl rings. And then when I fought, I would train with world-class fighters, world champion fighters. And then when I became a trainer, I started to attract professional athletes. I started to attract famous people and celebrities and people that are at a really high level of achievement. And then they would refer to me like the people they care about, like their siblings or their spouse or their friends that worked with them. And what they found is they just thought different. And I had this really cool experience, and I continue to have this experience because my best friend is Tony Robbins, and I've trained all these super successful people. But time and time again, I see this pattern of the way they view the world. Your belief system is the lens which you view the world. And this is why, because I would always ask this question, like, why can 10 people go through a similar experience and then it have 10 very different effects upon them? Some people become a victim, they roll over on it. Some people tell this story again and again and again and never get beyond it. And then a small number of people will use it as fuel to better themselves and to better the world. And so I pose this question to you, my friends. Whatever you want to create in life, first, are you aware of what you want to create? What is your ideal body? Like, in terms of this gift of a body that you've been blessed with, you have an able body, able mind, so you have everything you need in order to create whatever you want. But we need a vehicle in this lifetime. This body is the vehicle. And first of all, do you accept it as it is, and do you appreciate it no matter what? Or do you judge it, and are you harsh about it? Is it a hindrance to you, or does it empower you? Does it make, so like, think about these things. Really, you really got to take the time. And this is where people fail to show up. They fail to take the time to think. Like when Tony makes a decision, like, it's cool because I'm with him all the time and I get to see these things. Like, he creates his life like 30 years in advance. I'm not even kidding. And he creates a vision. It's not like it's stringent, but it's like he has an idea, a vision of where he's going, and he works his way back and he thinks about, okay, what do I need to do? What's the strategy? What it is? But he has a decision-making process. If you want to know more about it, send me a message after you listen to this and tell me, and just say, hey, I'd like to know more about Tony Robbins' decision-making process, and I'll show it to you step by step. But take the time to really cast your vision. Think about it and connect with it each day. It becomes your guiding light, your North Star. Remember, this isn't woo-woo. This is science. This is a science of achievement and fulfillment. You, my friend, are here for a reason, and I'm honored to serve you. So let me know if you want to know more about the decision-making process, what you thought of this study, and if there's any way I can serve you even better. Thank you, my friends.
You tap into the real you. But you have to retrain yourself. The way you retrain yourself is you wake your ass up in the morning and you say, I am here for a reason and a purpose. And it's bigger than my moods. It's bigger than the difficulties of the day. I am here to live like a lion, not the fear of a lamb.